Good evening, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Donald Trump berates Israel and Iran, says ceasefire is in effect. India says no alternative to dialogue and diplomacy to resolve the conflicts in the region. NATO leaders gather in The Hague, focus on boosting defense spending and showcasing united front against Russia. In cricket, openers Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett put England in driver's seat in the Leeds Test against India. Game resumes after a brief pause due to rains. After reports of ceasefire violation this morning, US President Donald Trump berates Israel and Iran for fresh escalations and asserted that ceasefire is in effect. Donald Trump, prior to his departure for the NATO Summit, said he was not happy either of the countries for violating the ceasefire. He didn't like that Israel unloaded right after agreeing to the deal. Trump further added that Iran's nuclear capabilities are gone. He warned Israel not to drop any more bombs on Iran or it would be a major violation.
I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there, absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone.
Meanwhile, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said on Tuesday it will respect a ceasefire announced by US President Donald Trump, provided that Israel also upholds its terms. And with the ongoing recent developments in West Asia, India has been following developments overnight relating to the conflict between Iran and Israel, including the US action against Iran's nuclear facilities and Iranian retaliation against US military bases in Qatar. In a statement, India said that it remains deeply concerned about the prospects for overall and sustained regional security and stability. Quote, India says we welcome reports of a ceasefire between Iran and Israel and the role played by the US and Qatar in bringing it about. It further reads out that they wish to reiterate there is no alternative to dialogue and diplomacy in order to address and resolve the multiple conflicts in the region. India stands ready to play its part in these efforts, hopes that all concerned parties will work towards sustained peace and stability. India's Operation Synindu, meanwhile, continues in full swing. Special flights have been arranged from multiple places to evacuate people who are stuck in the war-torn region. India's Minister for State for External Affairs, Pabitra Margareta, received 281 Indian, 3 Sri Lankan and 2 Nepalese nationals evacuated from Iran. More than 2,500 Indian nationals have now been brought home from Iran as part of Operation Synindu.
मैं थैंक्स करूंगा सरकार का इसलिए कि वहाँ पर जो सेफ्टी सरकार ने दी है यानी सारे सिटीज़ से एक जगह जमा किया जो मशहद सिटी थी सारे से कुम से अराक से इस्फहान से गुरगान से हर जगह से मशहद बुलवाए और सेफ्टी वहाँ से लेकर आए और मशहद में जितने भी दिन रहे 2 दिन 3 दिन सारे होटल्स का खर्चा खाने वगैरह का सब यानी इन टोटल पूरा भारत की सरकार ने किया है और हम इस बारे में इसको थैंक्स कहते हैं.
Tuesday saw the evacuation of 268 Indians when a third flight from Sharm el-Sheikh landed carrying 268 Indians from Israel. The C-17 Globemaster of the Indian Air Force with airlifted Indians arrived in Delhi. The flight was received by Union Minister L. Murugan. Earlier in the day, an Indian Air Force C-17 flight evacuated 165 nationals from Israel. They were received by Minister L. Murugan upon arrival in Delhi on Tuesday morning. The aircraft arrived from Amman, Jordan. Another batch of 161 Indian nationals were evacuated from Jordan. Minister of State Pavitra Margareta received them, said the safety and security of Indian nationals abroad remains the highest priority for the government. On to some other news now. NATO leaders gathered in The Hague for a summit focusing on boosting defense spending amid rising global tensions. At the summit, NATO leaders are expected to endorse a new defense spending target as demanded by President Donald Trump, who is also due to join the leaders for the summit in the Dutch city. NATO members are expected to agree on spending of 5% of their gross domestic product, GDP, on core defense and broader defense and security-related investments. Discussions will also focus on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has urged NATO countries to support Ukraine's defense industry and crack down on foreign components Russia is using for its weapons production.
We all understand that the source of this war and the long-term threat to the European way of life is Russia. But in reality, we are not just facing Russia alone. We are facing a network of state and non-state actors that are serving the cause of aggression. This network includes Russia, North Korea, the current regime in Iran, Chinese companies.
EU's von der Leyen, NATO's Rutte, declared support for Ukraine ahead of the Hague Summit.
There's no defense without a strong defense industry. And there's no European security without a strong transatlantic bond. So we need to bring down barriers and encourage truly transatlantic defense cooperation. Only Europe and North America together can rise up and meet the challenge. NATO's leaders are about to take an historic step to provide the resources necessary for strong defense. And now it's up to industry to deliver, and yes, to deliver.
How important it is for Ukraine to invest in the extraordinary, agile and innovative Ukrainian defense industry. Therefore, we have designed a funding program of 150 billion euros, we call it SAFE, where member states, but also Ukraine and other partners can take these loans to invest in the Ukraine defense industry, which has shown its ability to innovate, to produce fast and reliably, at scale.
On the sidelines of the summit, Ukrainian President Zelenskyy and US President Trump are planning to meet on Wednesday in The Hague. And the two leaders have a central figure at recent summits. However, Zelenskyy has not been invited to the main working session with NATO members. Apart from the ceasefire, the discussions are expected to focus on Ukraine's purchase of a defense package, a large part of which comprises air defense systems. The leaders would also discuss more sanctions against Russia and a price cap on oil. And talking about Russia-Ukraine conflict, a Ukrainian drone struck a multi-story apartment building outside Moscow early on Tuesday, triggering a fire and injuring 2 people. Moscow's governor confirmed that Russian air defenses had intercepted 2 Ukrainian drones heading for the city overnight. Added that fire began on the 17th floor of the building in the town of Krasnogorsk. Also said the injured were taken to the hospital for treatment. Waves of Russian drones and missiles, meanwhile, in and around Kiev overnight killed 10 people. Residential areas and the entrance to a metro station bomb shelter is said to be damaged less than a kilometer from US Embassy. Ukraine's Air Force said it had downed 339 of 352 drones, 15 of 16 missiles launched by Russia in the attack on 4 Ukrainian regions. In another strike in northeast Ukraine, 3 people were killed, 3 injured by an overnight Russian strike on a village in the Sumy area on Tuesday. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news today. The 29th Alice Springs Beanie Festival of Australia dazzled with nearly 7,000 quirky creations, including a beanie made from dog fur. Thousands flocked to the vibrant event, celebrating creativity and community spirit. As crowds share the colourful tradition, many hope this beloved celebration of craft and culture continues to warm hearts for years to come. Researchers from University of California, San Diego have carried out tests on a 10-story building with its own built-in earthquake to test its structural integrity. The building skeleton is made from cold-formed sheets of construction-grade steel that are then shaped at room temperature to make individual structural components. The Rubin Observatory in Chile has released its first images of deep space showcasing millions of galaxies, stars and asteroids. Rubin Observatory's initial photographs have revealed a stunning cosmic tapestry displaying panoramic view of the Virgo galaxy cluster. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates centenary celebration of conversation between 2 of India's greatest spiritual leaders. And Brad Pitt's F1 is set to have a worldwide theatrical release this week.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you.
Exactly what to save your.
You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated centenary celebration of the historic conversation between 2 of India's greatest spiritual and moral leaders, Shri Narayana Guru and Mahatma Gandhi, on Tuesday in New Delhi. The celebration brings together spiritual leaders, members to reflect upon and commemorate the visionary dialogue that continues to shape India's social and moral fabric. It stands as a powerful tribute to the shared vision of social justice, unity and spiritual harmony championed by both. Highlighting India's capability, Prime Minister Modi said Operation Synindu made India's firm policy against terrorism very clear before the world. He added that India has shown that no place is safe for terrorists targeting India.
हाल में दुनिया ने ये भी देखा है कि भारत का सामर्थ्य क्या है। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर आतंकवाद के खिलाफ भारत की कठोर नीति को दुनिया के सामने एकदम स्पष्ट कर दिया है। हमने दिखा दिया है कि भारतीयों का खून बहाने वाले आतंकियों के लिए कोई भी ठिकाना सुरक्षित नहीं है।
Shri Narayana Guru, a saint, philosopher, fearless social reformer from Kerala, who reshaped India's spiritual and social landscape. Here's a brief look at the man who preached unity in a divided society.
A revolutionary thinker who transformed the social fabric of India with his progressive thoughts. Born on August 22nd, 1856 in Chemparanti near Thiruvananthapuram, Sri Narayana Guru belonged to the Irava community, a section of society long subjected to caste discrimination. From these humble roots emerged a social reformer who challenged centuries-old hierarchies and orthodox traditions. Guru's message was simple yet powerful. One caste, one religion, one God for humanity. He consecrated a Shivalingam at Aruvipuram in 1888, a bold act defying Brahmin monopoly over temple rituals. Over his lifetime, he established more than 40 temples open to all castes, spreading a message of equality. Through institutions like the Shivagiri Math, Aluva Ashram, and the SNDP Yogam, he championed education, spiritual upliftment, and social reform for the marginalized. Guru's influence extended well beyond Kerala. During the Vaikom Satyagraha, his ideals of non-violence and dignity inspired national leaders, including father of the nation Mahatma Gandhi. The 1925 conversation with Mahatma Gandhi at Shivagiri became a landmark in the national narrative on caste and social justice. As a poet and philosopher, Guru penned works like Advaita Dipika and Daivadashakam, blending spirituality with social consciousness. Nearly a century after his passing, Sri Narayan Guru's legacy lives on, reminding us that real progress begins with equality, compassion, and courage. Bureau Report, DD India.
In other news, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Tuesday met with Governor of South Australia, Francis Adamson. The leaders discussed education, space, water, agriculture, energy and consular issues. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval held a meeting with China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Beijing. During the meeting, both sides reviewed recent developments in India-China bilateral relations and underscored the need to promote overall development of ties. India's NSA also emphasized the need to counter terrorism in all its forms and manifestations to maintain overall peace and stability in the region. Views were also exchanged on other bilateral, regional and global issues of mutual interest. On Tuesday, Alexander Vendikotov, Deputy Secretary of Security Council of the Russian Federation, called on NSA Ajit Doval on the sidelines of the 20th meeting of SCO Security Council Secretaries. The two sides discussed issues of bilateral, regional and international significance. The Russian side conveyed they were looking forward to receiving NSA Doval in Russia for the next round of strategic dialogue at an early date. And Ajit Doval attended the 20th meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO Security Council Secretaries, where he emphasized the importance of combating terrorism to ensure regional peace and stability. He added that India is deeply concerned about continued threat from terror groups designated by UNSC, including LET, JEM, Al-Qaeda, its affiliates, and ISIS and its affiliates. India launched Operation Synindu to dismantle terror infrastructure in response to barbaric terror attack on April 22nd in Pahalgam. A proxy of LET, TRF, killed 26 Indian and Nepalese nationals after segregating them on the basis of religion. India's actions were measured and non-escalatory. NSA highlighted the need to shun double standards in the fight against terrorism. NSA reiterated that any act of terror, including cross-border terrorism, is a crime against humanity. India called on SCO members to hold accountable the perpetrators, organizers, financiers and sponsors of acts of cross-border terror and to help bring them to justice. NSA requested support for several important Indian proposals, including algorithm of joint actions to counter challenges posed by international terrorist organizations, joint measures to counter radicalization leading to terrorism, joint information operation to counter extremist ideology. Moving on, in a bid to boost domestic manufacturing of electric vehicles, Indian government has announced the portal launch of application process under the scheme to promote manufacturing of electric passenger cars in India. The application portal would be open for applications from June 24th till October 21st. The scheme has been formulated under leadership of Prime Minister Modi, keeping in mind the goals of Net Zero 2070, Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Under this initiative, global EV manufacturers will be able to invest in India. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has authorized the Chief of Defence Staff and the Secretary Department of Military Affairs to issue joint orders for the Army, Navy and the Air Force. The new approach replaced the earlier system where individual services issued their own orders for matters involving more than one forces, often leading to duplication and inefficiencies. The first such joint order, titled Approval, Promulgation and Numbering of Joint Instructions and Joint Orders, was issued on Tuesday. It focuses on streamlining procedures and eliminating redundancies across the three services. In sports, in cricket, the fifth and final day of the first test match between India and England resumed after rain-paused play in the second session. England's aggressive start was finally broken after a dominant 188-run opening stand between Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett. Crawley, who looked in sublime touch, fell soon after the play resumed following a rain interruption. Dismissed by Prasidh Krishna, the breakthrough brought much-needed relief for India, who had been on the back foot for most of the first session. With the chase back on after the rain delay, the momentum could shift quickly as the Indian bowlers look to tighten the grip. Indian wicketkeeper batter Rishabh Pant has been handed an official reprimand for breaching level 1 of the ICC Code of Conduct during the Headingley Test. In addition, one demerit point has been added to Pant's disciplinary record. The ICC found that Pant had breached Article 2.8 of the ICC Code of Conduct for players and player support personnel, which relates to showing dissent at the umpire's decision during an international match. The incident had occurred in the 61st over of England's first innings when Pant was having a discussion with the umpire regarding the condition of the ball. West Indies women defeated South Africa by 6 wickets with 9 balls to spare in the third and deciding T20 International in Barbados. The win clinched series 2-1 for the home team after they came back with consecutive victories after being 1 down. Earlier, the 20-year-old Smith from Bloemfontein played a splendid innings as she guided South Africa women to 147 for 6. It was the first time the West Indies had beaten South Africa in a bilateral series in 12 years. The sports film F1 is set to have its worldwide theatrical release this week, and it's already generating buzz for blending real racing action with Hollywood storytelling. Starring Brad Pitt as the comeback driver, the movie aims to deliver a visceral, authentic look at the world of Formula One. Diptanshu Kashyap brings us more.
Blending high-speed action with heartfelt emotions, F1 tells the story of retired racer Sonny Hayes, played by Brad Pitt, who returns to the track to help a struggling team and mentor rising rookie Joshua Pierce, portrayed by Damson Idris. The film was shot during real Formula One Grand Prix weekends. Pitt and Idris trained for months and performed their own high-speed driving using modified Formula 2 cars to replicate Grand Prix conditions.
No, it's a nutty idea. It's like you're going to take actors and put them in real cars and embed them in the racing season. This was our director, Joe Kaczynski. We couldn't have done it, without F1 and all the teams, the principals, the drivers who all played a part of this movie. You'll see them; they're all over this movie.
The excitement around F1 began with star-studded premieres in Times Square and London, drawing in crowds of racing fans and film lovers. Hollywood icon Tom Cruise, who worked with director Joseph Kosinski on Top Gun Maverick, surprised the cast on the red carpet in a show of support. Much of the film was shot live during real Grand Prix events, with Pitt and Idris reaching speeds of up to 180 miles per hour.
think we had over 5,000 hours of footage for this film that we had to squeeze down to 2.5. So you're going to get the absolute best shots we had, I promise you. And it took about 2 years to cut this film together.
F1 races into IMAX cinemas globally on June 25 with a wider release across North America, India, Japan and more on June 27th. With real cars, real speed and raw emotion, this promises to be one of the most immersive racing films ever made. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan this QR code on your screens and download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.